All right, welcome to the Starter Story podcast. Today, I am bringing back Alex onto the channel to talk about his 30 apps in 30 days. He is at the end of his challenge. He did it. And when we first talked to Alex, he was only a few days in. Well, now he's finished the challenge. He's shipped 30 arguably AI slop apps, and I want to hear how it went and what the results are. A lot of people said this was stupid, just a bunch of AI slop, 30 garbage apps that wouldn't matter. But the truth is, a few projects stood out, and I had him come onto the channel and share what his biggest wins were, how much traffic he's gotten, how much money he's made from the challenge, what he learned from the challenge, how many followers he gained. In this episode, we're going to go over all of it. We're not going to hold anything back, and we're going to answer the question, was this smart? Or was this just a huge waste of time? I think this episode is going to be cool because of the 30 apps that he shipped, he's going to be going over the 3 biggest ones and what was the most successful, so you can learn from him too. And definitely stay tuned for the last one that he's going to share because it might surprise you. All right, Alex, welcome back to the channel. Can you just remind everyone who's watching, if they're watching this for the first time, what you've been doing over the last 30 days?
Cheers, Pat. Good to be back on again. So yeah, I have indeed been building 30 apps in 30 days, one app every day shipped by midnight, and I've made a video documenting the whole thing. So every day on my channel, a video has been going out. Why did I do this? Well, I was that guy. I was the guy who was talking about how easy it is now to build apps with AI, how quick I can build things. But if you actually looked at my track record, I didn't have that much out in production. And I know that when I do actually launch stuff, good things happen. Visitors come, money comes into the Stripe account. So I just needed a way to kind of clear out the system and really put the thesis to the test. Like, how quick can we ship with AI now?
So how far are you right now? I know that when this comes out, you are hopefully going to be at the end, but you shipped a bunch of stuff already, right? Where are you at?
Yeah, so I think we've got about 4 or 5 apps left to build. So we're on the home stretch. I can see the finish line.
Okay, so before we get into the most pivotal projects you built, the results, everything, I do want to touch on Haters Corner again. If you guys watched the first episode we did with Alex, we did the Haters Corner when he put his idea into the world to ship 30 apps in 30 days. There was a lot of people that were doubting, is he going to actually do it? Is it worth the time? And I understand that you still have haters to this day. I was looking at this YouTube comment right here, and this person asked, how many of these projects are actually making money? If you're shipping 30 apps in 30 days, my guess is that it's going to be a little bit challenging to monetize these apps right away. So I'm curious, what do you say about this comment? Have any of your apps been making money? How do you look at, someone who's saying something like this in your YouTube comments?
Yeah, it's a fair comment. It's a fair comment. And unfortunately, there's no big home run in the Stripe dashboard just yet. But like I said earlier, this challenge wasn't so much about getting an app out and making money. It was about strengthening the shipping muscle and just forcing ourselves to get an app out every single day. And I think before an app makes money, it needs to be actually shipped to production. It needs to be in the user's hands. You need to be getting feedback and you need to be iterating. And if you're spending months doing development, then you're never actually going to get there. So we've strengthened that muscle. So the next phase is going to be about actually generating revenue.
I think this question is kind of ridiculous because when I look back when I started my first online business, it took me 3 months to make that first dollar. I wasn't even really thinking about how can these make money. I was thinking about how can these get users and get attention and be genuinely useful and helpful for people. So I wasn't looking at the dollars. I was looking at the users. How many people have signed up for, my email list, or how many users am I getting on Google Analytics? Now that you shipped 30 apps in 30 days and actually documented everything, one of the big things for you was that you can get in front of more people. So could you just share with us, you don't have to go into too many details, what has been the difference between kind of shipping quietly alone and shipping out in the real world and shipping stuff every day? What have you noticed in terms of users and that sort of thing?
I guess off the top, building in public is going to do a lot of good for actually getting eyeballs on any of your products that you're building. And through this series, we've had over 40,000 views on YouTube, 500,000 impressions on X as well. So when I put these apps out every day, I hear feedback. If I hear nothing, then that's a sign. And if I hear a few good comments, that's also a sign that we can go back and revisit that and build on ideas. I've got waitlist for some apps, and because we're shipping everything to production, I have people using the app so I can find out the next day, did this resonate with people? For example, with one of our domain name apps that I'll talk about later, we've had over 70,000 domain names searched.
70,000
domain names searched. The AI tool scrapes a bunch, so we've had over 1,000 users there.
1,000 users is no joke. Do you think that if you shipped that project without the deadline, would you have finished that project? And without the content, would you have gotten 1,000 users?
Well, one of the things that led me to actually do this challenge is over the last year, I've worked on 2 main projects, and I've spent 3 months on both of them, building them, not really talking about it, and thinking, you know what, once I do the big launch, then it will be all right. And that big launch is really a bit of a myth, because, you know, you get to that point, you're burnt out, you're not hyped about the project, and people can tell that when you ship it. It's not a good place to be.
Yeah, I think that's how I would look at that sort of comment. Someone saying, you know, is this actually making money? I'll see people putting these comments even on some of my posts when I talk about users or views or whatever. They immediately go to how much money is this making? What's the ROI? Although I think that's a valid way to think if you have maybe a more established business and, you know, you're really like truly looking at ROI, is the wrong way to think about starting anything. Because if you have this mindset that something needs to make money on day one, then if you build stuff, you won't stick around long enough to actually get there, right? You typically do not make money overnight with any business unless you're very experienced, you have a very big audience or something like that. So that's what I think about when I see a comment like that. The next comment I want to go over that I saw as well, and this is more of a general sentiment, is again, the idea of shipping 30 apps in 30 days. This is just a bunch of AI slop. And I've heard of this concept of AI slop many times. It's definitely an interesting new thing in our world with content or apps and this idea of AI slop. So what do you say to someone who says, okay, in the last 30 days, you just shipped a bunch of slop and this isn't going to do anything for you?
I think it's a fair comment. In my opinion, AI slop, especially when it comes to content, you know, you see Twitter replies with just absolute AI nonsense, or even YouTube or TikTok content that's just an AI voiceover, some AI image gen. And that truly is no value to anyone. I think with the apps that I've built, generally people would associate, because it took a short amount of time, that it's going to be of low quality. But here's the thing. A lot of the apps that I've been building, I've been using AI models that have had billions of dollars of research and development put into them. So it's really about taking these concepts that people build demos with, and it's trying to position them in a way that can be valuable to the end user. So yes, although it might only take me 15 minutes to plug in OpenAI or Google Nano Banana, we can start positioning them to the end user to really get value out of them. And you know, to call that AI slop because it was built quickly, well, I don't really agree with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the idea. I never thought about it that way, but it's like you're standing on the top of the shoulders of giants. These AI models have already done a lot of this hard work that had to be done before in terms of programming the raw code or tedium of design and, you know, UI and all these things. The models are trained on that. You get to stand on top of giants and ship things quickly. This is a very unique time in history, I think, right now where we can do this. I don't know, maybe in 10 years, it'll be so automated that there won't be any money here. But right now, in this moment in time, shipping apps fast, like is just the perfect time, which I think is super cool.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of people that are only just starting to use ChatGPT in their businesses to, you know, automate emails. For someone to come along and potentially sell or market about, you know, a specialized AI app in their industry, that's super valuable.
Okay. Yeah. I think that you're handling the haters well. I love to see it. If you're doing anything cool, you're going to have haters. That means you're doing something right. So I think that's super cool. You're going to keep shipping and hopefully finish out the challenge, 30 apps in 30 days. Let's go to the next thing that I really want to hear about. You shipped almost 30 apps in 30 days. I know there were probably some things that really clearly worked and didn't. You have this very unique position where you ship so many things that you probably have this almost intuition right now on like what's working and what's not, which I think is super cool. What I want to go over is your 3 most pivotal projects. These are the projects that were the most successful of the 30. It could be they were pivotal because they failed super bad, or they're pivotal because they were the most successful relative to the other apps. So could we go over 3 of your most interesting projects that you built? And I probably have some questions on them.
Yeah, sure. So I'm already cheating a bit off the bat. So starting off, I've got a couple of apps here. One of them is a golf stats tracking app that I've got up on the screen here. It's not super pretty, but it's very functional and it does a very specific job for my golf game. And we do have some people using it, but it's not blown up. But as I said, this solves a specific problem for me. And when I use this in my golf round, and there's something quite satisfying about that. And it's similar for this site called rawtyping.com. Pick a timer to start your flow. And it basically forces you to stay focused on your writing. And if I don't keep typing, it will slowly start deleting. So it kind of forces you to stay in flow. And everyone has a very distracted mind nowadays. So this for me is something I go if I need to write. And again, building something to solve your own problem, building something that you actually use in dog food and you can continue to improve on. I think that's super valuable. And if you have a specific problem, there's a good chance a lot of other people do.
Before we even get into the results on these, I just wanted to point it out, like you built each of these apps in a single day.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's amazing. Like a golf stats tracking app. I'm just thinking about what it would have been like 2-3 years ago to build something like that. You probably would have needed a few different developers. You would have needed to learn how to code. You would have needed to learn all these things. I know it's not the most complicated app of all time. It's not monetized and making, $1 million, but you built that in one day and you are using it. I think that's just insane.
100%. And I think to, convince a developer or a technical co-founder to build a golf app or a writing app, you're going to have to convince them pretty hard or pay them a lot of money. And now these tools are available. So you can build these super niche tools for yourself or for other people. It is an amazing time.
So walk me through some of the results of these and why they were pivotal in your mind.
Yeah, so to be honest, we do have a few users signed up and people using the app, which is really cool to see. And I've had some good feedback on this typing app. Someone said it's a wonderful mixture of stupid and genius, that it just works. But yeah, I think the main takeaway here for me is that I'm actually using these apps and they're providing value to me. And that's a big success in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, biggest thing that goes wrong when people try to build things in startups is not that, you can't monetize it or you can't make money with it or it dies or whatever. The biggest reason that startups or projects die is because nobody cares about them. So if you go back to the first principles of that, the fact that you had people using it doesn't have to be 1,000 people, doesn't even have to be 100 people. You just have a couple people using it and yourself using it. There's value there. And that means that if it was a business that you wanted to build more on top of and build a true business on top of, that there are more people would be interested in using this. Because if it's useful to you, it's useful to probably thousands of other people. Now you just got to get it in front of more people. And that's probably when people build stuff, they think customers will just come, but they don't. And I'm sure that's what you're realizing right now.
Yeah. 100%.
So looking back on these, you obviously built these in a day. So, no harm, no foul. You didn't waste months or years on these. What was your biggest learning from these projects?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are searching for ideas. And I think if you can look at something you want, maybe you're using another app, but maybe it doesn't do the specific thing you want it to do, you can now go out and build that. And like we said, if you're solving your own problem, you're likely going to be solving other people's problems.
And it's a good feeling to build something that's useful, right? Like you're hanging on the golf course, showing your buddies this app you built. Like that maybe even be a better feeling than making money from it.
100%. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, let's go to the next project. Show me another project that was pivotal for you.
Okay, so pivotal project number 2. This is actually in the pipeline to build, but I'm really pumped about this one, and I'll explain why. So it's quite a boring business. It's actually applying some of the new image generation models and applying it to a specific niche, a specific local business. So the idea here is for kitchen renovators, people that do kitchen resprays, kitchen fittings, and I'm going to build an app that allows them to take a customer's kitchen and model it in a bunch of different ways using Google's Nano Banana. So they'll be able to upload an image and create a bunch of different variations of how their customer's kitchen could look. And this is massively going to help their sales process. Here's why this is pivotal. Once I build this app, I'm going to pick up the phone and call these companies. So in the video, I'm actually going to take this to market and try and book demos and hopefully make a few sales. So I think this is cool because we might actually get revenue on day one of the build, which would be amazing. Thinking about building in that way where you can build and take it straight to market, that is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think that's genius, especially if you can show that process on your YouTube channel. So anyone who's watching, go subscribe to his YouTube channel, wait for that video to come out. I think it's a great idea. It's already a process that this sort of customer does, which is, hey, send me a photo of your kitchen and I'll make it look really good. Nano Banana is this new technology that a kitchen remodeler would not know how to access or would not know how to use. They would not know how to prompt it. There's this, like we kind of talked about this earlier, this is little moment in time where you can build a really useful app that when you create it and it's useful, it'll get shared in the kitchen remodelers Facebook group through word of mouth, that they're sending it to all their buddies. And then all of a sudden you're making $10,000 a month and you got to get that first customer through cold calls or cold DMs or whatever. I guess my question for that one would be, how did you get the idea to do that? Were you working with Nano Banana before, or like, where did you even get the idea for this?
Yeah, so Nano Banana came out at a great time. It came out whilst I was doing this challenge, and it kind of spawned thousands of different use cases to build with. And obviously, you see on Twitter or on YouTube, people building kind of novel, fun demos or like, hey, I could do this. One of my best mates has a local service business. He installs security bollards. So he's always thinking, how can we apply this AI tech to a local business? You know, these kitchen refurb companies may be charging $5, $10, $20,000 to do kitchens, and technology like this can 100% help them improve their sales process. So I think there's something super powerful about actually approaching these companies and saying, look, you need to hear me out here because this is genuinely going to help you. This isn't another cold call about software you don't need. You know, if you don't apply this, then I'm going to go next door to the other kitchen refurb company. Yeah. They're going to take it and they're going to convert more people.
Yeah. Oh, that's genius. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. That's super cool that you know, when you started the projects, the 30 apps in 30 days, you're just thinking about how can I build something, right? How can I just get something out there? Maybe I'll share it on X. I'm going to create these videos about it. But you're getting now so good at building. You learned how to build with Nano Banana. You learned how to interface with their APIs. You learned how to design. You know, we already went over this before in the previous video. And now that part of your brain is like, okay, I know that part. It's easy. Now you're thinking about how do I get customers? I'll build this. I can do it in 3 hours. That's going to be the easy part. And now you are creating new brain space, creative space for how I get customers, right? And I just think that's so interesting because a lot of people who want to get started, they think of just how can I build something? And you have to build something first. But then once you build something, you create that new space to how to get customers. And then once you figure out that space, how do I get my first customer? You figure that out. Then you go to the next phase. How do I get to 100 customers? How do I get to 10,000 customers? Maybe it's SEO, one of those things. And that is, and this is going to get a little cliche, but like that is the point of doing things. You can only figure that stuff out by doing it. You can't plan it. You can't have some master plan and, you know, write it up or do ChatGPT or watch more YouTube videos or take more courses or whatever. You just have to do it. You wouldn't have been able to figure that out if you didn't do it. So I'm excited to see that project. I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that, but
yeah, and I think building that shipping muscle for them when that idea comes or when that new tech drops, you can just execute on it straight away, build something quickly, and then take it to market. I think that's a good place to be.
I love it. Okay, let's go to the most pivotal project. Tell me, what was the biggest project? Hopefully that new one that you ship is cool. So watch out for, go subscribe to his YouTube channel and check that out. I think I'm really excited to see that video. What has been the most pivotal project so far? I'd love to hear.
Okay, so pivotal project number one, I'd put down to Name Game Strong. And this was quite an early app that we shipped. So the problem here is that when you're starting a new project, you're brainstorming names with ChatGPT, and then you're going to namecheap.com, you're typing in the domain name, you realize, oh, actually it's taken. Even though maybe you really like that name, we try and automate that whole process. So you describe your product and then any name ideas you might have. And basically we use AI to generate a bunch of different names, and then we check each one and see, is the .com available? So it helps you not get too attached to any specific names. And we only show you the good domain names. And let's be honest, everyone wants a good .com name.
Yeah.
So some of the stats here, again, nothing mind-blowing, but we've got over 1,000 users and over 70,000 domain name searched. Here's why I think it's most pivotal, is because it's one of the first times I truly felt product market fit. So a lot of people talk about this mystical product market fit where something almost clicks into place, where your users really genuinely value your tool. And it's a little bit of a mystical thing, but once I launched this and I saw a bunch of people going to check it out, everyone I told about it, they went to use it and they came back and said, wow, this is actually really sick. Like, this actually works. I actually found a .com domain name, and I had a bunch of people on Twitter and YouTube using it and coming back with a positive response. And that made me realize, like, that's what that feels like. That's what that positive feedback feels like, which is a really good signal to then go and work more, build more on it. It's not an easy thing to get. You know, we've shipped a lot of apps here. We've maybe had that with a few, but for this, it's really obvious. And yeah, it's a small problem, but it's a problem that has hopefully been solved with my app here.
I mean, I love that. The idea of product market fit, I think you're sort of trying to explain it a little bit. Here's how and I think you did experience it. Here's how I sort of think about product market fit. So when you're shipping these projects, you're probably like getting, you know, you're spending hours in the day, 8 hours, 10 hours shipping a project. You ship it out. For most of them, you get maybe 10 users, 15 users. You tie this like outcome with the effort. So like I just shipped for 15 hours and 15 people use this. But with an app like this product market fit feeling, I just shipped for maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever this took. Maybe it was less, maybe it was the same, but then 1,000 people used it. Mm-hmm. So the same inputs led to, let's say, 100 times the outputs. That's the feeling of product market fit, where like, well, I just put this out into the world and then thousands of people, I mean, thousands of people is crazy. An auditorium, a concert that might have 1,000 people, right? It's such a crazy, you see the numbers on the screen, but what you don't realize is that you just built this little thing in your living room, and now 1,000 people used it, and it didn't feel like you were like tugging hard on it, right? You weren't like going crazy to share it. It just was getting naturally shared and used, and it was useful.
Yeah, and I think like I've had apps before that have launched and had a bunch of traffic or traffic over time, but no one comes to me and says, "Oh, you know what? I really enjoyed my visit to your site or app." And this is an example of one where they did come away and wanted to share, wanted to refer it to friends. I think there's a sports analogy here. I play golf, you play tennis, Pat. There's a feeling of getting, a shot in the center of the racket that just feels nice. It's hard to explain what that feels like, but
yeah. It's a feeling you'll be chasing forever. And it's, you can't replicate it. That's why I love the 30 apps in 30 days, is that usually the projects that you're most excited about, that you really think are going to knock it out of the park, they don't have, because you have all these big expectations for it, and then they usually don't pan out. So I'm curious to see what happens with project number 2 that we talked about, that you are excited about. I always love to see the outcome. You never know. It could work. Maybe it doesn't. That's kind of the like you said, the mysterious nature of the product market fit. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for sharing those. And what I do want to ask you about, now that we talked about those, and this is a little going back to Haters Corner again, a little bit, I can already read the YouTube comments right now. So he spent, he did 30 apps in 30 days and he only got 1,000 users. Obviously you got way more than that, and you built audience, and you did all these cool things. But what would you say to someone like that you wasted the last month and you didn't make any revenue and you only got 1,000 users? What would be your response?
I think it's the best thing I've probably ever done. It's probably one of the hardest things as well. I think I've had this massive backlog of app ideas in my phone for so long. And, every time I get out of the shower, I've got a new one that goes on the list. And now when I add something to the list, I know that tomorrow I could just ship this to production and take it to market and see what the response is. There's no more, one day I should build that app and, thinking to sit down over a few months and building it. So I think having that skill, having that muscle is super valuable. And, when you build 30 apps, a lot of them aren't going to do anything. Some of them might do something, but some of them you might feel that tennis ball out the center of the racket feeling. And those are the ones that I can then go away, build on more, do some marketing, do some sales, and hopefully make some of them really work out.
Okay, on that note, I did want to share something that we've been working together. When I saw you did the 30 apps in 30 days, I thought that was cool. And what you just mentioned there is that you can have an idea in the shower and then you can ship it the next day. What I sort of got from that is you have a recipe for shipping. You have a recipe for building apps. So when we talked about that after we did our first podcast, we said, why don't we put together something where other people can do this too? So we are launching in Starter Story Build, which people watching should be familiar with. You are going to lead the 4x4 bootcamp where people can do exactly what you're doing and ship not 30 products in 30 days, but 4 products in 4 weeks. For anyone watching here, if you want to work with Alex, learn his recipe, learn his process, he's going to be sharing that in the 4x4 bootcamp. We'll put a link in the description for you to put your email in if you want to get on the wait list for that. I believe it's going to be releasing in about a week or two. But Alex, maybe you have some thoughts on the bootcamp and what you're excited about.
Yeah, 100%. Really pumped about this. And I kind of built this course for the person I was 6 to 12 months ago, someone who's been experimenting, maybe built a few things locally, but they just haven't put something out there. I'm excited about the outline. I'm going to be walking you through how I go about these builds. We're going to be building with LLMs. We're going to be building with image generation apps, and I'll walk you through step by step. And, if I can build 30 apps in 30 days, I can definitely help people out on this bootcamp to ship 4 apps in 4 weeks. And by the end of it, to have 4 apps live on production, that's going to be really sweet.
Yeah, I think anybody who wants to do something similar to Alex and wants to really get serious about building stuff, taking that idea from the shower and turning it into a real app that you can share with real people in 1 week, you're going to be able to do 4 of those. You're going to learn all his systems for design, database, auth, getting Stripe set up, all the basics so you can ship fast. And I'm really excited for this to launch. So I'll put a link in the description for you to sign up for the wait list for that. And hopefully you check it out because I think it's going to be awesome. All right. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. 30 apps in 30 days. By the time you watch this, Alex will be done. My last question for you, Alex, is obviously other than running the bootcamp and helping other people do the same, what are you going to do after the 30 days?
So I think first of all, I'm going to enjoy not shipping one app every single day. And I think it will be cool to, sit back, do a bit of a retro, a bit like we've done here. But, look, what are the top things we want to keep building out? What are the top things that are showing signs, showing that product market fit, and thinking what we're going to keep pushing on. I've also really enjoyed doing the YouTube content, to be honest. So I definitely want to keep pushing on that. And, we've done a bunch of content around building. So yes, I want to keep doing that sort of content, but I'd love to transition to that marketing, to that sales. How can we, once we've got something shipped, how can we actually take it to the next level and really, bring it and get them generating revenue?
Okay. Anybody's watching, put a comment in there on what you think Alex should do next. What projects should he build? Maybe what challenge should he build? Should he go all in on one project? Should he continue to build a new app every day? I'd love to hear what you guys think, and go subscribe to his channel on YouTube. Follow him on X if you want to just learn more about how to ship and build fast. I don't know anybody else who's doing it as fast as him. So it was awesome to have you on the channel and share all of this so transparently, the real raw story. So that's been awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Cheers, Pat.